Hello, all, and welcome to Guardian System. I am your host, Joseph, aka Bulletproof 1406.
And I'm Steve, aka Flying Kozak. This is a brand new VR podcast focusing on gaming and reviews, upcoming news and hardware and technology, as well as looking at industry and beyond, and how we see VR moving forward and how it can affect our lives.
For those of you watching this, we decided to host this podcast in VR since it would give our audiences an idea of what exactly the technology is capable of. Currently, for the foreseeable future, all episodes will be hosted in the app known as Big Screen. In today's episode, since it's the beginning of the year, we'd like to take a look back at 2018 and kind of discuss the top 3 games that we really enjoyed playing the most last year. So, Steve, what were the top 3 games you enjoyed playing last year?
So last year was actually my first full year playing VR, and so every game out there was new to me, and it kind of opened up this smorgasbord, if you will, of new opportunities. In terms of the 3 games I had the most fun with, each of them for different reasons, but my number 3 is I Expect You to Die. This is a game that I've had the most, for sure, most fun I've had playing by myself. It's a escape room style. It's based around kind of 1940s spy thriller, if you will. And just all around, like, they did such an amazing job with, the different interactive pieces and actually making you feel like you actually solved something.
Yeah, I mean, it even had a lot of immersion to it. Like, there's a couple episodes where someone will catch you and you have to kind of act natural. And then you start doing something that was acting natural, and that actually works. And you're kind of like, oh my god, that actually worked. Like, I was actually able to pass this room because of the fact that I just acted naturally at that point, which is kind of crazy because you just didn't expect that to come from video games, to have that level of freedom to make those choices, right?
Oh, for sure. And they crafted each room with multiple ways of approach and how you can kind of solve each puzzle. And so it was really funny watching kind of some of the people we knew trying it for the first time and seeing them do the exact same things we did instinctually without really thinking about it, but also seeing kind of the new crazy ways that they approach it that I never would have thought of. The game has immense replayability.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and they even have the various achievements for you to unlock to do it the different ways. So yeah, for an easy like $20 game, you can get hours and hours of entertainment out of it. All right. What was your number 2?
For sure. Number 2 was Star Trek Bridge Crew. This is a game from a multiplayer perspective is just immense fun, especially if you're a Star Trek fan. Ubisoft did a great job in 2018 releasing the Next Generation patch, where it kind of puts you on the bridge. It has that great sense of nostalgia, and it was super cool. I know that we've kind of gotten together with people and done VR sessions, and having all of us kind of on the bridge, attacking the Borg or whatever it may be, was just so much fun and stupid fun, right? The dumb things that we did, the things that we found ourselves saying without even realizing it.
Yeah, I've often heard it referred to as like a Star Trek outtakes kind of game, and that's exactly it, right? Because everyone's taking it like semi-seriously, but still realizing that they're just in a basement in a virtual game. So you take it as seriously as you can at that point. But it is a hell of a lot of fun to play with your friends, that's for sure.
And you run into all kinds of different people, especially if you're doing kind of the multiplayer queuing thing. Whereas, there's people who just want to play and are having a good time with it. And there are people who actually like full on role play. And I find it hilarious and amazing, right? More power to you if that's the way you like to engage. And that's kind of the joy of VR, is it's that immersion factor. It kind of brings you into the world and it feels more comfortable. And I think people kind of role play more naturally doing stuff like this.
Yeah. And all the different ships, as you mentioned, that you can do, was pretty awesome. Although the original Star Trek ship in the game is quite hard to actually navigate with the original buttons and stuff. It was quite funny trying to do the original crew, but yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, no, you get an appreciation for the set designers of the original Star Trek, where everything from the tactical controls or the helm navigation was just a bunch of light switches and buttons.
It was.
And it makes it really difficult to figure out what you're looking at and what you're trying to attack.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure there wasn't even a front display either. There was just like like a console
No.
that you kind of shared in the middle, which was like, how the hell did they ever expect someone to navigate a ship with that, right? But yeah, we've come a long way since the original Star Trek, that's for sure. What about your number one?
Yep. Number one for me is Beat Saber. It came out earlier this year, or sorry, last year. And the reason why I like this so much is, again, super fun, replayability, but the fact that it was easy to pick up. And we know a couple people who have kind of had a bit of aversion to VR, complained in the past about makes them feel sick or just they don't see the allure to it. And so this is a fantastic pick up and go game that anyone with zero instruction whatsoever, can pick up. Lightsaber check, boxes check, arrows check. They understand what to do, and it's fun. And you can have turn-ins with people. Everyone enjoys watching the screen, seeing what other people do and how they react, and just watching a person flail around frantically at nothing is hilarious. And it's a great kind of party type game.
Yeah, no, for sure. Even I've been playing it a lot recently with all the custom songs you can download, and being able to listen to Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, and play that song on Beat Saber. There's just a certain level of enjoyment you get when you're hitting the beats and playing the game. You feel so in tune with the song, and you almost feel like you're dancing with it, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. I couldn't agree with you more that it's a fantastic game. Yeah.
Awesome. So, what about you? What was fun for you last year?
Last year, I played a lot of different games. My number three would actually also have to be Beat Saber. With the custom songs, the multiplayer edition. It is one of the games that I found before I even start playing any other VR game. I actually just start playing Beat Saber. It's a nice warm up actually to get you start get the motion going,
get the juices flowing.
Get the juices flowing. It's a nice little pre workout, if you will, before you start actually getting into a real game. But you can easily do 2 or 3 songs, and then you're like, okay, I'm kind of warmed up. Let's go into the game that I wanted to play. So that's why it's number 3.
I know you and I. And you and I were going back and forth. You'd log in, check out the leaderboard in terms of your friend settings. Like, damn it, Joseph beat me again on 100 bills or whatever it is, and I got to get in there and spend another 20 minutes just trying to get that 1 point higher.
Oh yeah, when you came back and told me that you beat all my high scores, I instantly went to the basement to try to beat it. And some of them I don't know how you did it. It was fantastic. You absolutely killed it. And I've seen other people play expert online, and I don't know how they do it. I can do some crazy songs in expert, but there's some other guys that are able to do it like no problem. And I was like, good on you, because I definitely can't.
Or with the double bladed lightsaber going, that crazy contraption.
Yeah. Oh man. Again, and some people actually 3D printed their own ways to put the controller in, so they just move it around like that. I thought it was super cool.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah. So the community involvement around that game has been astronomical. So good on them for producing it.
And people are already, like you mentioned, Bohemian Rhapsody before, but these are people using the creator tool to create brand new songs. So there's always going to be an endless supply of new content for you to engage. And for the small cost of the game, you have as much enjoyment as you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. For my number 2, I'd have to say Echo Combat. As you know, I have the full 3 sensor setup. So I'm able to really utilize the 360 kind of degrees of combat in that game, and I find it amazing. It's where I want to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a Ready Player One or Ender's Game, like just at your fingertips. So for me, it's been one of the top 3 games for sure for me this year.
Oh, for sure. And it's a great game. I know you and I have kind of talked about this before. It's one of the few games, unfortunately, that really requires the 3 to 4 camera setup to get that 360 view so that you can stand in place, move around, and get that full field of motion. I have the 2 camera set up, and I'm limited to using the thumbstick to 90-degree turns because I can't do the 360. And you notice there's a bit of a drawback from that. You can see the people who have the advantage of the 360 view, but still, the game is immense fun. They did such a great job. And, if people have kind of tried this before that's Lone Echo, it's Echo Arena, and now Echo Combat, they've added, the guns and the healing and stuff to it. And again, you bring up a good point, Ender's Game. If you've ever read Ender's Game, I mean, the movie, to a lesser degree, touched on this, but for the book, it was huge, where the kids were doing kind of zero-G space combat in an obstacle course. This is exactly what that is.
Yeah, and that's what you feel when you get in there. And granted, there's only two different type of styles where you're moving a point across or capture the point. So escort and capture the point. But honestly, the game was $10, right? And they added in various maps and all these different components. And honestly, it was the best $10 I think I've spent on VR this year, hands down.
For sure.
So if anyone has a chance, I would highly recommend picking it up, especially if you have the 360 view, right? So number one for me though I'd have to say is actually Skyrim VR.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say I wasn't expecting much when I first bought it. I was kind of pissed at myself actually for buying it again, because they port that game onto everything. And I kind of thought it was going to be a gimmick.
I did the same.
Yep. I was kind of like, this is just going to be another, why am I giving them more money for a game that I played like 10 years ago? But anyway, I decided to take a gamble on it. I downloaded a bunch of mods that definitely worked with it. And after a bit of fine-tuning and setting up, I found it to be a whole new game. It made me re-love Skyrim again. And I think I spent triple the amount of hours in Skyrim VR than I did in original Skyrim for PC. And it's just because the whole game is completely different. You are in the virtual world. You will have the sword in your hand. You have the shield. You are slashing. You are throwing fireballs. You have that arrow. Like it was unreal for me to have that experience and to explore Skyrim with that type of mentality.
And I know I tried it at your place. I don't have the game, but you were mentioning before, I think, that with one of the cool little features they added just for VR was the spells, and you kind of make like motions with your hands to equip different things.
Yep. Yeah, you pull out a bow. It's kind of like you're pulling out a bow, and then you kind of make the motion in the air, similar to how Orbis does spell casting. But yeah, then you don't have to go through the reticle to get your spells and equip them and shoot, which was highly annoying. But yeah, it's awesome.
No, it's super cool, and it's to the point where, pending the support and availability, when they finally do release Elder Scrolls, and was it 6 now? VR is definitely the one that I'll be looking for, because it gives you just this intense immersion factor.
Yeah, I would love if they initially come out of the gate with VR as an option. I think that would I would buy that for sure, and that's all I would play. Yeah, I'm super looking forward to that game, and I hope they come out with some type of VR component to it, or someone in the modding community does that for all of us out there, and we will love you for
some
it.
Unsung hero.
Yes, who puts that together, takes the time out of their life to do it, and you will be forever remembered as the guy who saved us. All right, Steve, so that about wraps up my 2018 review. I know it's only a couple weeks into 2019, but what have you seen so far that's impressed you?
So actually, kind of when you and I were getting together preparing for this first episode, I mentioned AltSpace VR, this kind of other hangout type platform. People can get together, talk, review, do different things. And they have a great website that kind of talks about events and things that are coming up. And while we were chatting, there was an online AMA style get together for this company that had won Game of the Year from the VR awards, and it was happening that time. So you and I jumped in and figured, hey, what the hell? We'll see what it's all about. And it was super cool. It was kind of load our avatars in. You move into this little semicircle. You had 3 developers. So this was Cloudhead Games, and they were standing there and kind of doing taking questions. And while most people probably have seen AMAs done before within Reddit and people kind of throwing stuff out there with responses, this was a unique level of interaction that I'd never seen before.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where, in terms of 2019, what excites me and what excites me for the industry going forward is finding new ways of immersive interactions. Whether it's working remotely or doing these types of engagements with people who are kind of halfway around the world. These guys, for example, were in Vancouver. It was really cool to see, there was no sense of distance between us, right? They were as close to me as you feel right now, even though you're in a different city. It was a really unique experience and something that I want to kind of do the rest of 2019.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. We went from basically seeing a schedule to within 20 minutes being in the same room, virtually at least, as the developers. And I was able to raise my hand within like 5 minutes and ask a question. And I felt like I was having a one-on-one conversation with these developers. And it almost like, again, opened my eyes to more possibilities that this platform can actually provide, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that one, for sure. Well, that concludes our year in review of 2018. Feel free to reach out to us and let us know what your top games were in 2018 and what you thought of our rankings. As I mentioned earlier in the podcast, my handle is Bulletproof1406. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitch and YouTube to check out when I'll actually be streaming some of these games throughout 2019.
It was great chatting with everyone. We look forward to doing this more. And this is Guardian System signing off.
Shit.
Amazing.
I'm leaving that in there for Nate.